Hello everyone, and welcome back to episode 81 of our top 5 PvP battles. If you guys want to send in your own clips for the top 5, you can send them to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. And our first fight today is brought to us by Skraps, and he is playing on a stamina werewolf. And he is doing some work outside of Chalman here, and you can see just right away, just dotting up the first player there, putting heavy pressure in with the Howl, and finishing him off, and then just getting the interrupt on that Templar before he can go for that res. The enemy Templar there having a huge amount of hit points, and right away Skraps just going to continue to work on the next target here. And this enemy Sorc just pounding the heals and shields, Skraps just keeping up the dot pressure, but not a lot of red players on top of him yet. Here another red player jumps on top, a Warden in his ultimate. He's got a little bit of more players just kind of standing around, some more coming from the keep. And Skraps is just fencing with these guys, trying again to put the pressure into this Sorc here, but the enemy Sorc doing a good job just tanking it out, keeping his heals up, and slowly more players jumping on top of Skraps, a fifth one coming in from the keep here, and he decides that he's going to have to back it up a little bit and just reposition. The red players follow him in the corner here, and he just right away goes into the back of the group and right on top of this enemy Sorc again. Gets a great fear on the group there, a huge amount of damage with that Howl. This enemy player a little bit too slow to break that stun, and Skraps quickly hitting him with the AoE dot to finish him off. And then right away back on top of this next, I believe a Sorc that's come in here, Skraps with a huge amount of damage with the Howl into the fear, following it up with another Howl, and that enemy goes down. And Skraps just trapped in the immobilize here. Look how he's channeling these heavy attacks on his wolf as well. He's going to be getting a lot of stamina back when he gets those off. Trying to put the pressure into this guy here, just really pushing the stamina bar. And he manages to take another red player down. And again, just channeling those heavy attacks whenever he can get within distance of these guys. And a great fear there again. Getting a good stun and then following it up with more heavy attacks on top of his pet there, hitting the players with the heavies as well. Skraps getting a ton of sustain on this build just from rotating those heavies as often as he can when he's taking all this pressure. Some really good dodges there, just moving out of the way and trying to look for a target to try to put some work into here. The enemy group here, unfortunately, putting a lot of damage in. And look at that heal. Oh my gosh, was that a 17k heal on crit, I think? A huge amount of healing power on this build. Being a werewolf, you get a big bonus to your max hit points and stamina, and Skraps is running a heal off of that, taking another red player down. Great fear on all four players on top of him there, and it's just an enemy Sorc just feeding him frags from the top. Skraps actually taking quite a lot of damage here, but just good defensive play, catches them with another fear on the stun cooldown there, just doing a great job keeping the counter stun on top of this enemy group, and right away trying to turn and burn on top of this Warden. The enemy player's putting a lot of pressure, and Skraps actually getting the tether from his, the stamina tether from his Engine Guardian set, and just taking advantage of that moment to go very aggressive, taking another red player down, jumping on top of this guy, catching him with another nasty fear, and he's going to try his best to heal that out. A lot of pressure coming in from the enemy group, but Skraps just occasionally going for that massive werewolf heal, and he's able to just tank this damage out, trying to keep the pressure up there, just getting caught with his stamina down. And now Skraps going to do the work. He's got heavy armor on, definitely, with the amount of stamina return that he's getting from those heavy attacks. And he's just going to keep on trying to work this enemy Sorc. He's been working this Sorc pretty much the entire fight, finally wearing him down there and finishing him off with the Venomous Claw. And the enemy players actually sieging Skraps too, and Skraps just continuing to dodge the attacks. There's another 17k heal. Wow, so much healing power on this build. And he's just able to continue to tank out this damage and keep rotating those heavies, rotating the dots on these guys as well. And Skraps is just trying to get his best opportunity to take this guy down, putting good pressure in, but just avoiding the enemy blast from the Sorc and the siege as well. Another red player goes down. And wow, what a beastly build he's got here, continuing to push into the red players. Skraps just showing no signs of stopping. They're just sieging his location, and he's just putting more and more damage into these guys. The enemy players just trying to scare him off here. Big damage on this next player there. Skraps going for the combos with the Howl as well. And he's very low stamina, but he finishes off. Another player decides maybe he's going to go back in, but he sees them setting more siege up. There's the Astronaut coming down. Skraps decides, okay, that's going to be the end of this fight. What a fight it was. Now, for our next fight, we have got Shay on the Stamina Sorcerer, and it wouldn't be a day in Cyrodiil without a siege line getting wiped, and Shay is just coming up on the back end of these yellow, quickly finishing off the first opponent that sees him, and all these guys just happily sieging the wall, not paying attention to what's going on. Shay just puts a few dizzies into that guy, and quickly finishes him off, and then just resets his buffs here. An enemy Nightblade jumping on top of him. Shay goes for that dizzy swing, connects with the second one, and a nice cancel on the Executioner into the roll. Brings another enemy player down, and now the yellow on the siege here are aware of what's going on, but nobody saw it coming. Right into the Vampire on the Stamsork, and then he just goes aggressive in his Swarm. The Swarm, of course, is going to heal him and deal damage to everyone around him, and Shay just whipping out massive dizzy swings on this thing, taking big chunks out of these guys. Look at this 12k dizzy swing on this poor guy. Shay just trying to get the execute there. Enemy Sork coming around the corner hot. There's the Necro as well, and he does a great job just streaking back into safety. And here are the yellow players aware of what's happening in the back line here. They're all coming to try to help. Shay gets a good bash there. This guy does not break the stun, and Shay just going to give him a couple pokes to finish him off. The enemy Necro tries to go for that res. He's going to hit him with the bash here into the dizzy swings. The Necro goes for the panic ultimate. Should have been a healing ultimate, and Shay just like that takes down the siege line. Now moving on to our next fight, we have got Zyn on the Stamina Dragonknight, and he's hanging outside a keep here that is being heavily sieged by EP. He's got a friendly player with him too, and they're just going to start buttering up the players that are attacking him behind the pillar here, taking one red player down, and Zyn right away working the dots on the next two players here with his friendly, it looks like a Templar, and he sets down the dizzy swing into the leap, gets a great stun there into the Executioner. Another red player goes down, and Zyn's just going to start working the next player. This guy's trying to go for the res. Oh man, he stops the res just in time. Zyn tried to go for that bash there, and the group right away turning around, putting some pressure into Zyn. A yellow player going kamikaze right in the middle of the group there too. So Zyn just hangs around in the back with his friendly player. They're going to try to put some damage into these guys on the siege. A huge leap there. The Templar just jabbing away. A couple red players going down, and Zyn finds himself just recovering from that counter stun. And then right away back on top of these red players, dotting them up with the Noxious Breath. And this guy gets stunned by the Templar. Zyn goes in to help finish off the kill there. And so many red players going down on the front of the gate here. And a few yellow players going down too. Zyn just jumping with the leap on top of the last guy there. But this last player on siege is very, very tanky, and Zyn just keeps trying to work him. The yellow player coming in behind with the ultimate too. Zyn able to easily tank that ultimate out with his, looks like health regen / healing power. Finishing off the tanky player on the siege there. His friendly player's gone down as well. But is he going to get the res? No, it doesn't look like yellow wants to let him res his friendly player. This is Zyn's outpost here. So he's going to do his best to just fight off both factions. And the yellow player's going for some nasty ganks on him there. Zyn does a good job blocking the incoming attack from that Nightblade, keeping his heals up at the end of the pottle, and he tries to turn for some offensive pressure, but the Nightblade again jumping on top of him with that gank, and Zyn's just going to have to respond with the block into the heals. Counters with the Noxious Breath there, managing to pull the Nightblade out of stealth. A big leap from that Dragonknight. Zyn's going to jump on top too, trying to finish off that red Nightblade, I believe. And Zyn's just going to try to get him with the AoE. Doesn't manage to pull him out. Yellow Nightblade, sorry, manages to get him there with the Noxious Breath. Just keeps popping him with the AoE. And he wants to connect that dizzy swing. The enemy Nightblade just getting back into stealth. And Zyn again taking pressure from the rest of the yellow. Using the pillars here to just LOS the players. And a big leap there into the execute. This guy not fast enough to respond. And Zyn manages to get the kill on him. Working the next guy behind the pillar here, has good LOS from the rest of the group. So he just starts rotating those dizzies. The Executioner, another yellow goes down. And it looks like the rest of the yellow are actually busy fighting that red Nightblade on the resource here. Zyn just clubs him with a massive dizzy swing. Another player goes down, hits this guy with the stun there as well, bringing him down. That was one red player, one yellow player, and the single blue Zyn left standing. He goes for the leap on that Nightblade, the execute. and it's just the yellow warden left. The warden here, absolutely no fear at all, just continuing to attack Zyn. Zyn just turns around, huge connecting combos on that poor guy. And it looks like red has got just a few more players in stealth here. A good bash there to prevent this Nightblade from picking that player up. The enemy Nightblade, a little slow to break the stun, tries to roll away, and Zyn connects with the Executioner at the end there, and then just starts dotting up this enemy Templar. That guy was definitely jabbing the air a little bit. But nonetheless, Zyn manages to defend against everyone. Great fight. Now for our next fight, we have got animation canceling, and he is playing an interesting two-hand Resto Stamina Templar build. He's hanging out in this resource here, just trying to pick a fight with these red players, and they chased him up into the tower, and he's got a lot of pressure from these guys. They're coming after him pretty fast here, and Annie's just kiting around the tower. He's got a lot of movement speed on this thing, just trying to split the group up. There you see he gets a good stun on this player, going for the jab pressure, but the rest of the players coming around the corner, and Annie's just going to go for a kite back through them again, getting a good isolation and split on the group, but unable to stick the combo out. The red players, it looks like 6 or 7 of them, very, very aggressive to chase him around here, and Annie's trying to set up, it looks like a nice Dawnbreaker combo, unfortunately hit by the counter stun there, and forced into the Resto ult. He's just going to kite back around the corner again here and just try to split these guys up. They're very aggressive and they're staying fairly stacked as they chase on top of him. He's got just 3 players here, seeing if he can do some work. A good sidestep on the Dawnbreaker, 2 more red around the corner. And Annie again going for that little bit of a reposition. And the red players continue to chase. He catches this guy at the front of the group, hits him with the javelin there into the jabs. The enemy Malabith proc going off, and the Malabith, such a strong proc set for passive healing right now. Annie is unable again to stick the combo out, getting chased by this red group, and he does his best to get a little bit of Magicka with that heavy attack. Unfortunately, not completing it, but he gets a good catch on that Nightblade, putting big damage into him. Annie gets the Power of the Light there, the Dawnbreaker into the jabs, and there's the Power of the Light explosion to finish the Nightblade off. And now the enemy Templar, overextending, having been caught with the dead Nightblade, is by himself now, and he hits him with the stun right away with the jabs. The enemy player just does not break that stun. And this guy right away trying to res the Nightblade, and he's going to hit the bash there. He's getting hit by a little bit of counter siege too, and he just tries to go for that bash again. This enemy player just kind of sticking out that res. I don't know if he actually got it there or not, but Annie did retaliate with the Dawnbreaker, going for the Executioner there, finishing one red player off and getting hit by more of this siege. Really great counter purge from the enemy siege, and getting hit by that sort of stun. These guys are desperately trying to pick up their dead players. Annie just putting the big jab pressure into these guys. Power the Light on the target that he wants to kill here, keeping the jabs up. And the enemy players doing quite a bit to just try to keep their friendly players alive. The Sorc throwing shields down for them as well. Annie gets a great Dawnbreaker there, and then just goes for the jabs to finish that guy off. And this guy, he actually tried to stick that res out again. No, you don't. The enemy Sorc behind Annie there also just seems to have stopped being aggressive. He was attacking him earlier. Annie's just going to hit this guy with the stun and just keep working him with the jabs. This guy's got some fair bulk to him for sure, but he's not going to be able to take that sustained pressure that Annie's putting out. And there's the Malabith proc again. So much healing from that proc. Annie just continues to try to work him here. Gets him with the stun there, puts the jabs in. There's the Malabith proc again, so much healing from that, but Annie's just going to keep the combo going through it, and there we go, connects the Executioner to finish him off. Another red player coming around the corner here, trying to res. We can't be having any of that. Annie right away starts feeding him the jab business, and there's the Dawnbreaker to finish him off. And there's the last player who's at the bottom just being pesky, poking him down here. Annie just right away jumping on top with the Power of the Light. Hit him with the Javelin into the pokes. It looks like that other Sorc there was actually just a friendly player. And Annie finishes the last one off, taking the fight home. Now moving on to our next clip, we have got another bit of Stamina Templar goodness. You guys know I absolutely love this class. And this time it is brought to us by Malcolm. Now, Malcolm has sent in some incredibly awesome Sorc fights in the past, and this fight is absolutely no exception. Right off the bat, Malcolm's just taken pressure from these blue players. He jumps on top of the enemy Templar as he retreats into the tower here, trying to put pressure on the guy that kind of overextended, but taking a lot of damage himself, and Malcolm's just going to reset his buffs in the corridor there, getting those heavy attacks off, trying to set the pottle down on this guy here, but again, a lot of counter pressure from this group. Malcolm just doing the best to keep his heals up, keep his vigor going. And he is running the Sword and Board Armor Pierce too, so he's just trying to set his combos with that as well. And Malcolm going for big jab pressure on these guys here, putting a lot of damage in. There's a nice toppling charge, setting him off balance too. Malcolm trying to stick the combo out, a beautiful cancel on that Executioner. And a bit of lag there. He did have the block up on that Meteor, so a little unfortunate that he got hit by that. Nonetheless, he did stick that combo out really well. Gets the gap closer just a little too late on it, but manages to finish off the player who did get the res off. And the enemy Templar who starts attacking him again here is going to find himself very low resource. Malcolm right away jumping on top of him, debuffing him, going for the Sword and Board ultimate so he can stick out the aggression there. And he's just going to not let this guy get away. There's the toppling charge into the jabs. And now a little bit of a fast forward. That's just the beginning of this fight. So Malcolm finds himself just doing a little bit of skirmishing here. And eventually he finds himself fighting a few blue players here and sees the power of the light from the distance. And there we can see a blue player coming to engage Malcolm. Right away jumps on top of him and goes for the jabs. And it looks like in the distance there, we see more blue players coming. The thirds come in there, and Malcolm's just keeping up the pressure here, trying to connect a nice combo. There's a beautiful Dawnbreaker into the jabs. Another blue goes down, and more blue players start to ride in on their horses. Malcolm just fairly high resource. He's going to keep the aggression up, going for the jabs on this guy. Beautiful Executioner, taking another player down. And now he's starting to smell it. There's a lot of blue players piling up here. Malcolm goes for a little bit of a kite there. He goes through the group and then turns around back through them again, doing it again. This is a great move, especially in these tight corners, because not only will players fall off the edge if they don't walk correctly or chase you properly, but the turnaround just forces them to have to turn their camera to not target you. And Malcolm just, with a few turnarounds like that, manages to get a good split on this very large DC group. Now, normally the group would continue on to their objective, but these guys want Malcolm dead real bad. So they're all going to chase him, and Malcolm just doing his best to sprint this away. He cannot take this many players in this location. He knows that. So he just continues to try to get to a better location for the fight. The Sorks are throwing down the curses and everything, but Malcolm's breaking just enough distance that they can't put too much damage in. He goes for the turnaround there, and just that little action of turning around, the blue players are now all on top of him. And Malcolm's just going to continue to kite back here. He has much better terrain to try to take the fight now. Just resets his buffs around the corner. Goes for the Pierce Armor, but doesn't commit to anything. The blue players continuing to just pile on here. And there's a big fall, and the blue player jumps off the edge. Malcolm sees him low hit points. There we go. Gets him with the stun into the jabs. One blue player down. Another blue player falls off the edge here. Very low hit points. Malcolm connecting a nice Executioner. There's another guy caught very low HP. There's another Executioner to finish him off. And just like that, Malcolm looks like he's able to do some work against these guys, but the fight is by no means over. He's taking a lot of pressure. All of the blue players trying to pick up some reses here, and Malcolm is so quick with that toppling charge, denying two of the reses there, going for the stun here, trying to get the pressure in. A nice Executioner. Another player goes down, and a double bash to deny two more reses from the blue group here. And Malcolm connecting a beautiful jabs into the Executioner. Again, another blue player down, and it looks like just three blue players left. Malcolm keeping up huge pressure on these guys. Really great eye on the players attempting to go for the reses there, just connecting the toppling charge every single time they try to. And this guy is going to try the res. Again, Malcolm gets the bash, giving up the opportunity to kill that player, but also gaining the chance to kill that player going for the res. Malcolm finishes off this last guy. He jumps in the air. He's like, man, I'm done. And the last blue runs away. Wow, what a fight. And finally, for the bonus clip, we have got some more werewolf goodness brought to us by DragooX. Be sure to check out all of the content creators featured in today's episode. We've got links to everybody's channel down in the description below. And a huge thank you and massive shout out to everybody for sending in those clips. If you guys want to send in your own clips, you can send them to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. Check me out on Twitter if you guys want to keep up to date with my shenanigans. You can check out my Twitch to catch live gameplay from me. Check out KristoferESO for written guides to all of my builds, as well as a hub for all of my ESO content. We are sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, free to try for the first month via the link down in the description below. And last but certainly not least, a massive thank you and a massive shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Thanks to you guys, I can keep the dream alive, so thank you for supporting the show. Thank you everybody just for tuning in and watching today. I hope that you guys all enjoyed. I hope you guys are looking forward to our next episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great night, everyone.